Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member for Wacha to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development in A, when the construction of Chililalila Local Court in Wacha constituency will be completed. B, what the cause of the delay in completing the project is. C, how much was owed to the contractor as of August 2022. And lastly, D, what the estimated time frame for the completion of the outstanding works is. In responding to that question, Madam Speaker, we respond as follows. In A, the construction of Chilelalila Local Court, commonly known as Makululu Local Court, will be completed in the third quarter of 2023. B, the cause of the delay was due to lack of funding in the past years. C, there is no money owed to the contractor as of August 2022. And lastly, D, the estimated time frame for the completion of outstanding works is 12 weeks. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honourable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you so much, Acting Minister of Infrastructure and Urban Development, for the responses given. In responding to the first question, Minister, you have indicated that the project will be completed in the third quarter. And in responding to question 2, you have indicated that the delay is as a result of money is not being available. Honorable Madam Speaker, I would want to find out from the Acting Minister of Infrastructure and Urban Development whether the money is now available to complete the project. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. By responding in the manner that I did, Honourable Member, where now we are committed that the project shall be completed in the third quarter, we do believe that the funds shall be available to complete the project in the said period. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Do you have another question? The Honourable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, you indicated that the contractor, as at August 2022, is not being owed any money by the government or the Republic of Zambia through the ministry that is implementing the project. But during my tour of duty, Madam Speaker, as I was visiting the Semchilalila ward, in conversing with the contractor indicated that as at August 2022, is being owed 550,000 kwacha. But the minister has indicated that the contractor is not being owed. So, Minister, which is which? The contractor is saying, as government, we are owing him, but the contractor, as ministry, are indicating that he is not being owed. So I would want a clarification. And I'm sure the contractor is also listening, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Member, it would be wise that when we give a position, what I'm giving is a government position. I do not suppose that we should try and ascertain as to who is telling the truth. The government does not lie. What I've given you is a government position, and therefore you will be wise to take that as the official government position. I thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Magoye.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 272.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Magoye is asking the Ministry a question in 4 parts. A, what are the cattle inventory for Southern Province was as of July 2022? And the second one, whether the government has any plans to curb cattle diseases in the province. In C, if so, how the government plans to roll out the disease control exercise. And in G, Madam Speaker, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, in A, the House may wish to note that my ministry conducted a livestock survey in 2022 and established the population of cattle in Southern Province was 2,216,076 as at 3rd July 2022. In B, I wish to inform the House, and indeed the nation, that prevention and control of animal diseases across the country is top on government agenda. May I take this opportunity to inform the House that by law, animal diseases are classified in 2 categories. One, diseases of national economic importance, and management diseases. Diseases of national economic importance, Madam Speaker, are those diseases that are highly contagious and cannot be controlled by efforts of a single farmer, and whose death rate can reach up to 100%, and also affect trade as well as social well-being of the communities. These diseases include foot and mouth disease, FMD. The other disease is contagious bovine pneumonia, CBPP, and African swine fever. For the control of this disease, government is responsible and offers the service as a public good. Government intervenes during epidemics, and this includes rabies and anthrax. On the other hand, Madam Speaker, management diseases are diseases whose effect is not drastic, and their spread is slow and can be controlled by individual farmers if they carry out stipulated good management practices like regular vaccination, deworming, and dipping. These diseases include tick-borne disease such as corridor disease or East Coast fever, locally known as Chigodola in Eastern Province, Denkete in Southern Province, and also, Madam Speaker, black leg and lump skin disease. These are management diseases. The cost of controlling management diseases is the responsibility of the farmer. Government offers technical support
to farmers for the prevention and control of these diseases. The support includes production of affordable vaccine extension services for good animal husbandry and health. In C, Madam Speaker, my ministry is already on the ground preventing and controlling diseases across the country. These measures are affected to pursuant number 27 of Animal Health of 2010 of laws of Zambia, and are intended to guard against the spread of diseases among animals to human and other areas of the country. Madam Speaker, the following are the measures undertaken to prevent and control animal diseases in Southern Province, and indeed in areas where such diseases are prevalent. 1, extension services. Staff of the ministry are available countrywide in veterinary camps to assist farmers with knowledge on how to prevent and control animal disease. I would like also to inform the House that my ministry is in the process of acquiring motorcycles to ensure these field soldiers can effectively cover their areas of operational in offering services to our people. A total of 338 motorcycles have been procured, are now in the process of being delivered. And number 2, Madam Speaker, the government, through my ministry, provide public awareness to the communities through radio programs and the farmer group meetings. The ministry has embarked on radio sensitization for all radio stations in Southern Province in view of the recent increase reports of tick-borne diseases. The campaigns are conducted to sensitize livestock farmers on the disease prevalent in the district, the danger they pose to the cattle industry, the need for the farmer to identify disease early and take corrective actions. Number 3, Madam Speaker, we have provided ban on the movement of cattle in case where there is a disease outbreak. My ministry may introduce a ban on livestock movement in affected areas to stop the spread of disease and allow appropriate control measures. The other intervention we have provided is vaccination. My ministry is vaccinating livestock against FMD and the ECF in veterinary camps in Southern Province. Farmers are encouraged to purchase other vaccines like anthrax, blackleg, from the available vaccines that are provided. Extension officers are available to help in administration of the purchase of vaccines. Madam Speaker, other measures includes testing in all prescribed areas in order to identify the affected herds for various diseases. Animal sero surveillance and the strengthening of abattoir surveillance to ensure rapid and efficient traceback of the sources of diseases. This will be augmented with the construction of quarantine facilities in strategic areas, construction of biosecurity checkpoints at strategic points, and construction of plant for vaccine production at CVRI. Indeed, Madam Speaker, as the plans are ongoing, as outlined in C, D falls off. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. I was even thinking whether it was a ministerial statement. It was too comprehensive indeed. Can we have supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Kawata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, I would have loved in your statement if you had actually indicated the, other measures like the issue of vet officers, because we believe that some of the vet officers sometimes they do allow animals in the night to pass to other districts illegally. So, Honorable Minister, there was a case of CBVP, which was reported in Southern Province, in particular in Chivombo area. I wanted to find out, Chivombo area, but I know my question is specifically talking about Southern Province. That's the reason why I have indicated Siavonga. There was a case of CBP that was reported. I wanted to find out, Honorable Member, what measures are you putting up in place to ensure that cases of such nature, they do not occur in places where we have a huge population of animals like Southern Province? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure the Honorable Member mixed up. He was talking about Siavonga. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Issues to do with CBP, what we do is, as soon as we get such reports, we quickly send our officers to go and do tests. And immediately, we clear off the affected animals. And secondly, as government, we are intensifying checkpoints to make sure that any farmer or any trader who transport animals, he has got the necessary papers that have cleared the animals. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Magoye.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Minister, thank you for that good statement. And I want to appreciate, Madam Speaker, in a sense that for the very first time in the history of this country, Mazabuka district, on FMD, all the animals were vaccinated, meaning 100%, and kudos to the New Dawn government. However, I want to find out, Honorable Minister, the distribution of vaccines, are they equivalent to the number of cattle in the Southern Province? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't know what type of vaccine he's talking about, whether it's against FMD or CBPP. Maybe the Honorable Member can be clear.
Can you be clear, Honorable Member for Magoye?
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I mean FMD.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's FMD. The vaccine that we purchase, like he has stated, the Honorable Member, that FMD, we really got the vaccines equivalent to the total number of the animals that we have in Southern Province. And if there's any place that has been left, I'm sure maybe it's just maybe lack of information. But as a ministry, we purchase vaccines equivalent to the total number of animals that we have. I thank you.
The Deputy Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, I need your protection from Honorable Member from Shangombo. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, and this is to the Minister. Given the happenings in Southern Province and even in Central Province, where we are losing a lot of cattle due to the diseases, is there any plans by the government to try and see if there are possible ways of ensuring our cattle, given that cattle rearing is now being considered one of the biggest opportunities in agriculture as a country as we expand our economy in the New Dawn government? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Like I was explaining in answering Section B, Madam Speaker, there are two things which I want my colleagues here to understand. There are diseases that are responsible for a farmer, which I've described as management diseases. Now, there are these diseases that I have said it's the responsibility of the government, diseases of national economic importance. Now, this is the responsibility of the government. And as government, I have laid out interventions that the government is putting in place in order to protect the industry. So once farmers realizes that their heads have been attacked by unknown disease to themselves, it is very important for our farmers also to help us to inform our staff to quickly come in so that we are able to identify what type of a disease that has affected that head. The ministry will be ready to help, and we are ready to help all our farmers in order to protect this industry, which is an economic industry. I thank you.
The Honorable Member from Babala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and welcome. Honorable Minister, thank you for the wonderful statement and indeed for the support to Mbabara. We just received an extension officer in Mbabara broke and a motorbike in Kabanza area. Now, Honorable Minister, as a consequence, we have lost a lot of animals, and we are wondering why the vaccination program is not comprehensive enough to cover the constituents fully, because a number of areas in the constituents have not been attended to in the vaccination program for Southern Province. I seek your serious consideration for this question. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member has stated that they have lost a number of animals in the constituents. And the reports that we have so far, that is causing a number of our cattle in Magoe. Is it in Mbabara?
It's Mbabala, Honorable Minister, which is in Southern Province.
Thank you very much. So Mbabara, in general, Madam Speaker, the Southern Province reports that we have on the table as at now is about the tick-borne diseases, which has actually come up because of the climate change that we are going through, such as floods and droughts. And most of these diseases, most of these diseases that are causing cattle to die in Southern Province are management diseases. So this is where we are trying all the best we can do as a ministry to sensitize our communities that they have to do their best practices at a farm level, because that is a responsibility of a farmer to respond to management diseases. That is not exactly for the government. All we do as government is to provide technical support to our farmers to respond to such kind of diseases. So far, there's no reports that we are receiving that cattle in Southern Province are dying from FMD or CBPP. These are management diseases which a farmer should take responsibility. Of course, with the support from the ministry in terms of technical ideas on how to prevent these diseases. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Itezhi.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Itezhi to ask a follow-up question to the Minister. Minister, I representing a constituency that has more cattle than the people, I think it's right that I also make a follow-up question. I would first of all want to appreciate the fact that so far FMD has been contained because we are seeing consistent vaccinations that are taking place, and we thank you for those efforts. In your statement, Minister, you've mentioned that in order to contain most of these diseases, extension support is very critical, and the technical support that comes from the extension officers. And I know that animals are just like human beings. They need quick response. When a cattle breaks its leg, it needs somebody to quickly come and respond. Now, Minister, in Southern Province, and it says in particular, the extension officers, they stay in town, they don't stay in the camps. And to me, this defeats the purpose of providing extension services because the farmers are now paying more. When an animal breaks its leg, the farmer is forced, Minister,
Honorable member, you are debating now. What is your question?
Someone is saying, imagine it comes from Karush where there are no animals.
Honorable member, please, you are addressing me. I was just cautioning you to say you are now debating instead of asking a question. Is it possible you can wind up your question?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, what are we going to do to ensure that these extension officers, they stay in the camps so that the farmers do not incur additional costs in responding to the emergencies where prevention of disease to their animals? Thank you so much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Actually, what you have said is very true, that if we don't strengthen our extension services, then it means we are not going to achieve what we are supposed to achieve in the industry of cattle or livestock. First of all, I want to assure you that as a ministry, we have decided to put measures and monitoring system of making sure that all our extension officers must be in their camps. Then that answers the challenge of responding to our farmers whenever they have got challenges in their farms. And this is actually, you may wish to note that even His Excellency the President has already given directive to that all camp officers must be in the camps. So we are now, as a ministry, trying to make sure that we are making follow-ups to make sure that every camp officer must be in their camps. So this is work in progress. You know, this is the system that we found. So we are trying to work hard to make sure that we correct the situation. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Honorable Minister of Livestock, Honorable Makozo Chikote. I acknowledge cattle is one of the best ways of storing value, especially in Kenya. Other people store value in vehicles, in property, or in banks. But cattle is one of the best ways. And with your question item A response, you stated that Southern Province has over 2 million cattle. That said, well done to Southern Province, but I want to quote a Facebook page called The Demographer, dated 26 December 2022, which read, and I quote, Southern Province has the highest cattle population, while Eastern Province has more people who keep cattle, though they keep cattle in smaller quantities compared to Southern Province. So meaning in Eastern Province, each one has one. And then in Southern, maybe people have 500, 2,000. The question to you, Honorable Minister, is what's your Ministry of Livestock doing to ensure that within
southern province, more people can own at least one cattle. And beyond that, in all other provinces, starting with Lusaka province, Central, Muchinga, Northern, Luapula, Northwestern, Western, at least each person can own one cattle. What is your ministry doing? Are you thinking of giving each one of those subsistence residents at least one cattle as startup capital? Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, though that seems to be a new question, because we have a question before us which just talks about how many cattle do we have in Southern Province, and it goes to talk about the diseases. I don't know, the Honorable Minister, do you have an answer for that question, for that new question?
Honorable, thank you, Madam Speaker. Just for the sake of encouragement to our Honorable Member of Parliament, is that's why we are putting a lot of interventions to protect the industry, so that in the long run, most our people must understand the importance of this industry, so that people like Honorable Member for Matero can also start owning cattle. So we are trying our best to make sure that people understand the value of these cattle, because this is the industry which can change the livelihood of our people. So our target is not just about southern or eastern province. Our target is to make sure that wherever we have got favorable conditions to keep animals, we should encourage people to start investing their money. Hence, in our constituency development fund, there's an opportunity of getting those grants and invest in the livestock sector. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To permit the good people of Petauke to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Fisheries. Minister of Fisheries, in your statement, you mentioned to say your ministry bought 300 plus bicycles. Now those bicycles, how much is one bicycle, and are they for only that particular constituency, or just southern, or the whole country? Thank you.
Honorable Minister, since you mentioned something about the bicycles in your response, are you able to respond to that question? The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I didn't say bicycles. I said motorcycles. And the response was going to issues to do with what is the government doing to support or to give support to our farmers. So those numbers I gave, the 338 motorcycles that have already been purchased, are not just meant for Southern Province, are for veterinary services across the country. So we are trying to equip our staff so that they are mobile, they are able to visit our farmers in their camps. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the last two, Dundumwezi and Congo. The Honorable Member for Dundumwezi.
I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I want to state that I'm a small-scale livestock farmer. The minister has continued, he has indicated in one of the responses, he has said that the management diseases are supposed to be taken care of by individual farmers. Honorable Minister, the current regulations on ZAMSA are prohibitive. Are you considering reviewing these regulations? Because a number of, or let me say, most of our drugs, Minister, are too expensive that ordinary farmers cannot afford. And this is because the current regulations are prohibitive to allow many farmers to own, can I call them maybe maybe pharmacies to do with livestock drugs. Are you considering reviewing the current regulation? I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Before the Honorable Minister comes in, there's an indication for a point of order by the Honorable Member for Petauke. What is your point of order, Honorable Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the point of order is Standing Order 65, and it's directed to the Minister who is responding to the question on the floor, Minister of Fisheries. I asked the question about the cost of motorcycle, and he hasn't responded according to the question. He has dodged the question. So it's in order to dodge the question instead of giving the good people of Southern Province and Zambia at large the actual answer to the question and the amount to the motorcycle. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. Since the Minister is still on the floor, as he answers the question by the Honorable Member for Dundumwezi, he's going to give a response to you over the cost of the motorcycles. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, Madam Speaker, the question for the Honorable Member for Petauke was those motorcycle meant for Southern Province. So I answered, because what is stating that we are guided by the standing orders. A member of parliament is entitled for one question. So I picked the question he asked me to say, are those motorcycles for Southern Province? I told him it's for veterinary services. So that's how I answered that question. So coming to the issue of helping the farmers to access drugs, in relation to Zamra, there's progress going on. We are trying to make sure that we facilitate issues of farmers accessing these drugs by, engaging Zamra to look at the laws that governs in the purchasing of or ordering of these medicine or drugs for livestock. So what we are doing is we are busy reviewing the laws that have been in existence for some time, and we hope we are going to provide a conducive environment where drugs and vaccine for livestock are concerned. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Skongo.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the potential of the livestock sector to contribute to GDP in this country is so huge, but I think it's been hampered by the presence of the livestock diseases. In this regard, I would like to commend and thank the Minister and indeed the new Dawn administration for the efforts they are putting in place to try and improve the livestock sector. However, I would like to find out from the Minister whether his ministry has got any plans to turn Bamora Research Institute, which of course at the moment deals with the issues of vaccines, to turn it from being a section into being a department so that its operations can be enhanced, just like that of Mount Makolo Research Institute. I thank you.
Honorable Member, I think that is a new question altogether. Maybe you should come up with your own question. No, because Bamoro, I believe, is in Osaka. we can now move on to allow just one independent member, since there was only one voice that we heard. I had indicated that the last person was the honorable member from Congo, but I'm going to allow the honorable member for Nyimba to be the last one.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I appreciate the answers coming from the minister. The way he's trying to curb the cattle diseases in Southern Province. Madam Speaker, my question to the minister is that as much as you are controlling Southern Province, it is, I think it's a well-known fact that diseases in the entire 11 provinces, 9 provinces, 9 out of 10 provinces in Zambia, the diseases can be managed, cattle transferred from Southern Province to Central Province to Copper Belt to Western Province, but it has been a problem to do the same disease management in only one province in this country. And this country has suffered a lot. That's why we've got people who live in Matelo comparing themselves to us, that each person has got one cattle in that province. Minister, my question is, these efforts you are doing in Southern Province, which I appreciate, because this is we've got over 2 million. And obviously you agree with me that Eastern Province comes second in terms of people and animals. Why are you not, sorry Madam Speaker for me to pose this question, it's very important. Why are you not doing the same effort you are doing in Southern Province, in Eastern Province? No minister, I'm not asking you, I'm not accusing you, no minister from 1980 to today who has made that effort. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I was responding in that fashion because the question was anchored on Southern Province. As a country, measures that we are putting in place to make sure that disease challenges that are faced by this country are put under control. We are doing everything in all 9 provinces, and we are making sure that the veterinary services in each provinces are enhanced. You know, sometimes it may take time for you to start seeing the fruit, especially when you are trying to build a very good foundation, out of which it might not be seen that we are doing something in all provinces. But as a Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock, what we are committed to is to make sure that disease issues in this country are put under control. I can give you an example that in terms of supporting the staff, we have done this in all 9 provinces. I can give you one example that, Madam Speaker, that all our provincial veterinary staff, all 9 provinces, have been given new land closures to support veterinary services. So this means that the way we are doing in Southern Province, that's the same way we are doing in Northwestern, in Luapula, in Eastern, in Mchinga, all 9 provinces. So the assurance I'm giving the honorable member is that the disease control will make sure that...
Honorable Minister, we've got 10 provinces, not 9.
Thank you very much. You know why I was concentrating in 9? Because we have got 1 province which is free from diseases. That's why I was concentrating on the 9 provinces. And Is that
Honorable Minister, please wind up your response.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The assurance I'm giving you, Honorable Member, is that disease control will be done across the country, because it's not about a province, but it's about the entire country to protect the industry, so that our farmers in the nation will be able to start competing at international markets. I thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 273.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Mkosa, to ask the Minister of Energy, A, whether the government has any plans to connect the following areas in Chinsali district to the national electricity grid. 1, Nashinga in Luba Ward, Cheswa in Chambeshi Ward, Mwalule in Milemba Ward, Mbesuma in Itapa Ward, Kalela in Itapa Ward, Chunga in Chunga Ward, Chilunda in Chilunda Ward, and Karisha in Chilinda Ward. Second question, if so, when the plans will be implemented? And the last question, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, the answer to question A is yes, the government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Rural Education Authority, RIA, has plans to rectify the aforementioned areas in Chinsali. Answer to question B, according to the Rural Education Master Plan, the above wards in Chinsali were scheduled to be electrified in 2021. The total cost of the project was estimated to cost 49 million kwacha. However, due to limited financing, the project was not implemented. It should be noted that RIA will rescope the area by fourth quarter of this year to ascertain cost of implementing the project. Answer to C, this question has been addressed in our response to question A, therefore it falls off. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for the response. And I've heard that these areas were supposed to be connected to the national grid in 2021, but due to inadequate resources, this was not possible. And the ministry through RIA is in the process of rescoping the works for these areas. Now, I'd like to find out, in case the government is not in a position to do to work on the all areas at once, because obviously it's difficult to find the money at once, is it possible they can put the works in a phased manner so that maybe next year we can connect two, the other year we can connect two areas, so that after some time, say 3, 4, 5 years, we can have all the areas connected? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't think this is the time to start speculating whether government is going to have money or not. What we have indicated is that we are going to rescope this project towards the end of this year, and come next year we'll be able to come up with a firm position on the matter. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, there is some amount of 1 million which is being deducted from the CDF allocation. Wouldn't this help RIA to expedite these works where you have already done the feasibility studies? How are you going to utilize that money if it can't go to some of these projects? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would encourage Chinsali District Council to liaise with RIA so that they can use part of that 1 million additional funding from CDF. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Rubansenshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Minister of Energy. Honorable Minister, the people of Chinsali need electricity like yesterday, according to the areas that have been tabulated in that question. Now, my question is, do you consider as a ministry to take the inventory of all the areas in Chinsari, or may I say Zambia at large, so that you know the areas which are not yet electrified, so that you can able to come up with maybe a model of maybe PPP, so that this issue of crying for electricity year in, year out can come to an end. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. RIA has produced a master plan on all projects that are pending and all projects that have been executed. As regards to PPP, whether this is feasible or not, I cannot say it at this moment. I submit.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member from Mbabala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 274. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Member of Parliament from Mbabala, Honorable Msanje, is asking the Minister what measures the government is taking to discourage charcoal burning in Manguza area and other parts of Mbabala parliamentary constituency to stop deforestation. B, what alternative sources of energy are being promoted other than charcoal. C, whether the alternative sources of energy are accessible countrywide. And D, what awareness programs are being implemented to discourage charcoal burning. Madam Speaker, our response to A is that government has engaged the communities in Manguza area through the formation of forest groups under the Forest Farm Facility Program. A number of sensitization activities have been conducted in the past, and such efforts shall continue not only in Manguza, but also in other parts of Mbabala parliamentary constituency to stop deforestation. The Forest Farm Facility Program, which encourages sustainable utilization of forests, has also been launched in the area. Additionally, intensified patrols are being conducted to curb the necessary cutting down of trees. B, the government, through the Ministry of Energy, who we are partnering with, has a robust program of promoting alternatives to charcoal. One such method is the use of biogas digesters. This is being done in Kalomo, Mazabuka, and Monze districts of Southern Province. This program, once scaled up, can be scaled up using CDF support so that more districts can come on board. Additionally, the liquefied petroleum gas is also one of the alternatives that is being promoted in the peri-urban and urban areas countrywide. C, some of the alternative sources that are accessible countrywide include biogas, where over 5,000 digesters have been placed in many rural communities, especially in eastern and southern provinces. Solar energy use is also on the increase in many parts of the country. D, government, through the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, has come up with a robust program of raising awareness on the promoting alternatives to charcoal. This is in addition to encouraging sustainable utilization of forest resources. The strategy of reaching out to chiefs, who are the custodians of most of the forest resources, is key, as evidenced by the engagements with the House of Chiefs on charcoal issues during the last sitting. Further, Madam Speaker, I wish to add that as a ministry, we've also increased budgetary allocation by about 30% in the 2023 budget to the forest sector in order to enhance forest protection and management. Additionally, the Forest Development Fund has been operationalized, which is a demonstration of government's commitment to ensuring forest restoration and protection. Additionally, my ministry was granted Treasury Authority to employ about 35 district forest officers and 35 senior technologists. Further, 229 community forest groups have been formed by the Forest Department across the country to ensure wide stakeholder participation and ownership of the forest resources to ensure sustainability. The ministry is also collaborating with various partners, for example, USAID on alternatives to charcoal and other stakeholders to curb the problem of charcoal burning and forest degradation. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Kasama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for your statement. I noted in your statement, you noticed that LPG could be an alternative. Now, if you look at the cost of LPG, it's on average about 35 kwacha per kg, which translates to 175 kwacha per 5 kg, which is not actually very affordable for the average household. Does your ministry have plans to subsidize LPG so that you may encourage more users of LPG, as well as also subsidy on gadgets that use LPG? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kasama, for that very, very important question. Alternatives to charcoal, really there are issues there. I think the main issues there are, first of all, accessibility. Secondly, is the cost. We are working around these main two factors to ensure that obviously the costs are brought down, but also mechanism to see what incentives we can bring on board to ensure that they are affordable. Further, I think a certain class of people who are able to afford this source are already using it right now. But I agree with you that for the lower income bracket, we really need to find cheaper alternatives. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your very good response. You have mentioned about CDF taking forward some of these measures. Have you bothered as a ministry to package how we can actually take this forward under CDF, like, for example, accessing the Forest Development Fund to ensure that these areas that are being depleted out of trees can actually go back and replant the trees whilst utilizing the alternatives you have given us, like liquid something and biogas and the like. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
I'd like to thank the member of Mbawala for that very, very important question. Indeed, right now, as I'm speaking, we are working very closely with the Ministry of Science and Technology, Honorable Mutati, to see what cheap and more accessible products come on board. Indeed, we are also packaging to see how the component of CDF can be utilized in tree planting, and also mainly ensuring how our people up their mitigation and adaptation measures. Remember also that in my earlier statement, I stated clearly that budgetary support to the forest sector has been increased by 30%. Further, that we have operationalized the Forest Development Fund. All these efforts are meant to ensure that we come up with a solution, basically the alternatives to charcoal. Indeed, it's a challenging problem. Charcoal is easily produced, charcoal is easily distributed, but finding that alternative is what we were working on, because that alternative has to be cheap, that to be easily accessible. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Honorable Minister of Green Economy. Charcoal burning is obviously a scourge on the country. My question, Minister, is We saw recently some people arrested in Central Province from Tanzania in a brutal way because they were charcoal burners. My question is, even in Mbabala, what measures do you have in place? Our communities, majority of the rural communities, they have no idea about green economy. Their livelihood, they've grown up on charcoal. We know cutting trees is wrong. What measures have you put in place to give them alternative, even before you arrest them in a brutal way? Do you have means and ways in place to handle them humane way? Arresting them, they have no idea they're even committing a crime. They sponsor their families on the same charcoal that they sell, and you arrest them, their children can't go to school. What measures, humane measures, do you have in place while correcting this negative on our country of cutting trees? What humane measures do you have in place to help the charcoal burners who are not aware that they are committing a crime? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Matero. And he has basically said a lot of things in there, some of which I need to correct. One of them is that when the ministry was formed, we came up with what we call a communication and advocate strategy to ensure that we educate our people on issues of climate change so that we carry our people along. We believe that a lot of Zambians right now are very, very well informed. Further, I'm sure you've seen that the effects of climate change, the flooding, unprecedented flooding in the southern province and other parts of the country, unprecedented droughts. Just a few days ago, I issued a statement on the prevailing temperature conditions. The temperature right now in June is 2 degrees above the normal. All of these things our people are experiencing, so they are very, very much aware. Secondly, on the foreigners, I want actually through this House to issue a very serious warning to foreigners, particularly in the countries you've mentioned, that we will apply the law to the fullest. Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that charcoal burning is completely banned in certain neighboring countries, and yet they want to get from Zambia. They will apply the law to the full because the Forest Act number 4 of 2015 is disturbing me behind here, Madam Speaker, this man.
Let's give chance to the minister to respond, especially that a lot of people are listening to this program.
Indeed, Madam Speaker, when you look at the alternatives to, basically it's about the livelihoods of our people. They depend on charcoal burning for their very livelihoods. One of the issues we are doing closely with the Ministry of Agriculture is to ensure that we make agriculture a business. Most of our people depend on agriculture. Increasing productivity per hectare, ensuring that there's easy market access, ensuring that the price is the right price, as the Minister of Agriculture announced a good price of 280 kwacha. These are alternatives, alternative livelihoods we would want to promote for our people, because it's a matter of livelihoods, actually. So this is what we are doing, Madam Speaker, and I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chikankata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, thank you for your statement. Minister, most of the charcoal is a major source of energy and finance for the lower brackets in this country. Terminating it, it means that we will disadvantage this group of people. However, my question is, what possibilities are there to plant a species that will be used for charcoal? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kankata, for that very, very important question. Indeed, Madam Speaker, one of the drivers actually for deforestation resulting from charcoal burning is the industrial use of this source of energy, particularly in manganese processing. Various developers now have come to our offices to see how we can partner with them to come up with a plantation specifically to provide the necessary raw material for charcoal. Indeed, it's an alternative, Madam Speaker, and the Honorable Member of Parliament, which we are looking at. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the problem we are discussing here basically, it's not only peculiar to Mbabara. I think it's a countrywide problem. And I agree with the minister in responses that on the measures that the formation of CFMGs, which are doing a better job. But Madam Speaker, in every problem there is always a source or the cause of the problem. The problem we have now, it's a town basically called Lusaka and township called like Mamatelo, because this is where the demand of charcoal is. And now, if we need to manage this deforestation, Madam Speaker, we need to look at the alternatives. The POG gases. Now, the question to Honorable Minister. Minister, if you look at the pricing of per kg of gas today, it's expensive. Because, Minister, you're correcting VAT from this product. Looking at the cylinder itself, it's all the need for us to see to it that we start protecting our forests. We are correcting taxes from this thing. All the gas stoves were correcting taxes. So this is really hampering your effort to manage the deforestation. So, as government, as executive, do you have any plans to see to it that we reduce taxes, maybe give tax exemption on this product so that we can promote the use of gas countrywide? First, you reduce taxes on gas, which is very important, and the rest will follow. Do you have such plans? Thank you, Minister.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Madam Speaker, let me thank the Nyimba Member of Parliament, who is very knowledgeable in these matters and who have been consulting quite widely. Madam Speaker, we are trying to come up with a product, again, I must emphasize, which we want to be accessible to our people, to be affordable to our people. We are putting up a product which we are in discussion with the Ministry of Finance, Honorable Tumbeko Muskwatani as well, to see how the product we put on the market can be affordable to our people. So I can only agree with his suggestions that issues of tax exemptions, issues of other incentives can be put on board. So once we are ready with this product and its cost implications, we will be bringing to this House for debate on how we can move forward and resolve this very, very big problem of charcoal burning. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Lundazi to ask a follow-up question to the Minister. Honorable Minister, it is sad that sometimes African countries or underdeveloped countries, we are made to pay the price, and yet the major contributor to depleting the ozone layer is mostly the developed countries. In terms of percentage, who are the ones who are causing this challenge, and what penalty is being given to the people who are very much developed and they continue to deplete the ozone layer, unlike us who are suffering here in Mbabala and Lundazi? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment, if you've got a response for that.
I do not really have a response. I think what the Honorable Member of Lundazi is doing is an addition, and to agree with her completely that indeed the developed countries have caused these problems. but to assure her that we are playing our part. As chair of the African Group of Negotiators, I'm glad to inform the House that at the last COP, Zambia leading Africa agreed with the international community that the issues of loss and damage as a result of the negative effects of climate change must be supported. And at that summit, the financial framework was agreed upon. So we are looking forward to COP28 to ensure that what was agreed at COP27, we start moving. Further, climate financing, in particular for adaptation, I think there's an agreement with the international community again. It has generally been agreed and recognized that the developed countries have caused this problem and that they must do more. And we are seeing a lot of efforts, even in this country, there's a lot of financial support for a lot of adaptation programs. So we'll ask for more, and indeed, we'll make them more accountable. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, as you are pushing this agenda, have you ever looked at the electricity tariffs, how cost it is, so that if you look at it and you reduce the electricity tariff, then we are going to stop using charcoal? Or is it just a rhetoric because you are told by those people who are responsible because you are being funded? How are we going to achieve this? I just want your comment. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
I want to thank the member of Chipiri for that very important question. And maybe to correct him that it's not the ministry who should be pushing this agenda. We should all be pushing this agenda. The negative effects of climate change affect all of us, despite where we sit. Climate change knows no boundaries, knows no political affiliations. We must come together. Our appeal is to ensure that these efforts we are making to ensure that we green our economy are supported by everybody in this House and in the country. Increased tariffs. Of course, any business has to be viable. But for those who cannot afford, I think Honorable Community Development will tell you that the social protection for our people, those who cannot afford, are being increased. Further, for us to ensure that our people, particularly in the rural areas where Honorable Kapala, Minister of Energy, will tell you the connectivity is low, the budgetary support to RIA has been increased. All these efforts basically are to ensure that we are connected, but that the utilities, RIA, ZESCO, are also viable. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I like the way you articulate the issues to do with the environment. Permit me to use the graph.
Graphs are allowed.
Okay. On the y-axis, we have life.
Yes.
On the x-axis, we have loss of income. Okay. Now, we can lose income if we zero rate, let's say, or we put duty-free to things like liquid petroleum gas, gas stoves, solar panels, solar lamps, and all such. If we allow all those things coming through into this country with no tax at all, then you're going to see that when we save life or saving forest on the y-axis, life, the quality of life will be increasing whilst you are losing income on this other side. Isn't it possible, Minister, that one of your solutions, you can propose that you bring a bill to this House where we can ban charcoal, the use of charcoal, and ask the communities, with the intention of the government, of course, to increase CDF to 57 million in the nearest future. We can allow all our villagers who use charcoal to get an income to make sure that they go on CDF and all these other alternatives of living, so that they have nothing to do with charcoal, and we are saving forests to save life. And meanwhile, your government, our government, make duty-free to the importation
Honorable
of these
member,
things.
what is your question?
The question is it possible, Minister, to lose a bit of income by making sure that all these facilities come in the country duty-free? Then we ban charcoal. Then we save the forest. Then we save life. Is it possible you come up with a bill? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Indeed, the use of graphs is key in explaining some of these things, particularly for us engineers. Madam Speaker, banning charcoal production and use is really a subject matter which we'll bring to this House for debate one of these days, because we believe that it has worked quite well in other countries. But for us, we are trying to ensure that we bring alternatives first before the complete ban. Further, we will be bringing the Forest Act number 4 of 2015 for revision in this House. And at that time, we'll be very glad to receive submissions on one hand and support on the other. Further, Madam Speaker, I'll take advantage of that question to also explain that we are trying to see that there are gains and gains quickly, again, when we bring the climate change bill on the floor of this House, to ensure that our people make gains from carbon trading. I think carbon trading will be one of the solutions to this cage. Further, Madam Speaker, I want to appeal to this House, as I've done many times before, and today I'll be a bit more direct. The ministry, Madam Speaker, is requesting that these plastic bottles here, that we stop as Parliament, as leaders, as lawmakers, we stop the use of these plastic bottles, because plastic pollution, Madam Speaker, has become a scourge which has polluted our streams, which has clogged our rivers. It is one of the biggest challenges we face now. So I ask my fellow members of Parliament that we agree to stopping the use of plastic bottles forthwith. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister. The issue of deforestation is not only a huge challenge in Manguza and parts of Mbabala constituents. Honorable Minister, I'm alive to the fact that your officers, the forestry officers, faces a number of logistical challenges. The forestry officers in Mbabala, do they have adequate transport so that they are able to effectively police our forests? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Member of Parliament for bringing this very, very important question. And to the members of Parliament, I want to state very clearly that that question was a loaded statement. I've appealed, obviously, to my Minister of Finance, Honorable Istumbeko Musukutwani, that more funding is allocated to the ministry because the challenges are big. You will recall, Madam Speaker, that when Zambia was experiencing a lot of challenges in the past, structural adjustment program, foresters were laid off. Many foresters were laid off. There's been very little support to the forestry sector. I think this is a challenge which we should openly look at and see that there's more budgetary support. The forest sector has the potential, huge potential to contribute to the growth of the GDP of this country once supported. So we can only appeal that there's more budgetary support, and the Minister of Finance has assured me of the same. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with the Minister that indeed challenges are there, the logistical challenges, no vehicles, no offices, no manpower. But we believe that we will overcome this challenge, and government will ensure that the forest sector is supported. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, we have to make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 275.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central asked the following questions. Whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the police camp in Kalabo district, which is in a dilapidated state. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, when the police camp was last rehabilitated. Madam Speaker, in responding to Honorable Chinga Miutu, Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central constituency, asked the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. And our response is as follows. Madam Speaker, in response to the questions asked by the Honorable Member of Parliament, I wish to state as follows. Government has plans to rehabilitate the police camp in Kalabo district. B, the plans will be implemented when funds are made available. C, the police camp has never been rehabilitated from the time it was built in 1970.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Appreciating the response given by the Minister that there's a provision for renovation. However, the issue of resources. Yes, the issue of resource, but Honorable Minister, a journey of 1,000 kilometers, you begin with one step. What immediate short step can the ministry put in place just to start that rehabilitation in a small way? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the immediate solution to the dilapidated infrastructure in Kalabo police station is to be considered under the plan which we have, which I'm going to state. The ministry has plans to construct 89 new housing units. This process is under consideration. Once the funds are made available, we will not embark on rehabilitation, but constructing new houses in Kalabo. Much obliged, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you run one of the biggest ministries in this country. Honorable Minister, your response of saying when resources are available does not hold water on this particular issue. Honorable Minister, to follow people, to abduct people, you use fuel which is not for free. It is bought. It is bought using taxpayers' money. And then the people of Kalabo should be told when resources are available. Honorable Minister, when you know pretty well that you are part and parcel of those that approve the budget in this country, in this house. Honorable Minister, you know very well that you are buying vehicles without the consent of the WDCs for the police in our respective constituencies, for Zambia Police. Honorable Minister, I suspect that decency would have allowed you to say CDF money should be used for such an important...
Honorable member, what is your question?
Honorable Minister, don't you think that the way you've made the resolution of using money, CDF money, to procure vehicles for the police without the consent of WDCs, you would have done the same for the people of Kalabo? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to respond comprehensively to the issues that have been raised by the Honorable Member. It will not be fair on our part as government and the people listening out there pertaining to the allegations he has made. One, I repeat, no person or member of parliament has ever been abducted by the police in this country. That is a fact, and anyone can verify that. And if you have been abducted, an abduction is a criminal offense. If anyone has been abducted, let you report the matter to the police or commence private prosecution against the abductor. That is what the law of this country states. Two, Madam Speaker, I have just noted that the Honorable Member of Parliament for Lumezi and the people of Lumezi are listening, that he doesn't want the new police vehicles which we are procuring so that we can provide security for the people of Zambia and those in Lumezi. Three, the Honorable Member of Parliament knows that the jurisdiction to determine what should be used is with the CDF committee, where members of parliament are. And if they want, they can utilize this funding to rehabilitate the houses in Kalabo. But I've provided an alternative where we have agreed that once the monies are released, we will build 89 houses in Kalabo Central, which is good for the officers who are residing in condemned houses in Kalabo. That is what we are offering. And this is the best for the policemen and women in Kalabo. And I have no doubt that my good friend, the Honorable Member, is very happy with what I've said.
The Honorable Member from Pongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, are there any plans by this committed government, the New Dawn government, to be doing periodic maintenance to this public infrastructure other than waiting them become dilapidated? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we do have funding, though the funding is not adequate to rehabilitate all the dilapidated infrastructure in this country. It's public knowledge that most of the public buildings in this country are dilapidated, and the police infrastructure is not an exception. There are certain places where we have undertaken the process of rehabilitations, but it will be a process. I can't make an assurance that there is enough money. We do not have enough money.
Thank you. The last member, the Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Jack Mwimbu. I've followed all your answers and the good questions posed by colleagues. Building houses and police stations is one process. It takes a while, as in Kalabo. In other areas where the structure is already there, the building is there, maybe just one cable remaining, like in Mwembeshi police station in Matero, for 8 months, just waiting for the launch. Any plans to launch it anytime soon, the Mwembeshi police station in Matero, Honorable Minister? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to assure the Honorable Member of Parliament for Matero and the incoming president of a certain party that our government is going to do everything possible to ensure that Mwembeshi Police Station is opened. We also want to appreciate what you have done for the people of Matero. You are a good leader. I think they'll vote for you, those who in your party.
Yeah. On a lighter moment, the next question, the Honorable Member for Chimbamilonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 276.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member for Chimbamilonga, Honourable Elias Musonda, to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, A, whether the government has any plans to tar the Mporokoso to Kaputa Nsama Nsumbu Road in Northern Province. If so, when the plans will be implemented. C, what the estimated cost of the project is. D, what the estimated time frame for the completion of the project is. And lastly, Madam Speaker, in E, if there are no such plans, why? In response to those questions, Honourable Madam Speaker, in Part A, the government certainly has plans to upgrade to bituminous standards the Mporokoso Kaputa and Saman Sumbu Road in Northern Province. B, the plans will be implemented once the designs of the required works have been completed and the funds for the works are secured. C, the estimated cost of the project will only be known once designs have been completed. D, the estimated time frame for the completion of the project will be known once designs are completed. And as such, Madam Speaker, question E falls off. I submit.
Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Chimbamilonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, when are these designs going to be completed? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member. The project for preparation of detailed design for the upgrading to bituminous standards, the Mporokoso Kaputa and Sama Nsumbu Road in Northern Province, has been included in the 2023 Road Sector Annual Work Plan, and there's already an allocation of 5 million kwacha for that purpose. So definitely this is underway, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam. Honorable Minister, including an activity in an annual plan is not executing it. The question is, has your government started to undertake the activity to come up with these designs? And if so, when are the designs going to be finished? Thank you, Madam.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member. The tender for the engagement of the consultant to prepare the designs is definitely ongoing. This tender was actually floated back on November 9, 2022, and it closed on December 16, 2022. The process has started. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chimbamilonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, currently there are very bad stretches along this road. For instance, the stretch from Mporokoso Boma to going towards Chimbamilonga. And then there is Makankata Hill, which is in a deplorable state. And so many other spots. what are your immediate remedial measures that you're going to take to sort out these issues? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the honorable member. I do appreciate the state of the Mporokoso Boma section up to Makankata Hill. Let me suffice to say, Madam Speaker, that through the Road Development Agency, efforts may have to be made to at least alleviate, in whatever way possible, the current bad state to see whether something can be done about it. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, through you, the minister earlier on, I heard him on the floor of this House saying the government doesn't lie. So I'm just wondering, since the same government also promised Chiengi the road since 2022 up to date, there's nothing. So now I'm wondering how this government, which has said there are no new projects, how they're going to start to work on the other road. I'm not against that side. I should declare interest. I'm half Tawa and Wiri, and that's part of my place as well. So now I want to find out from this minister, how possible is this going to take place when there's also a pronouncement on not starting new projects? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the honorable member for Chiengi for that follow-up question. In answering that question, Madam Speaker, let me take advantage and state that the problems that we face together as a country, particularly in infrastructure, is well known to all of us. This is a problem that, as a government, we would like to address. The huge debt mountain that we are sitting with has no doubt reduced the fiscal space to allow government to attend to this infrastructure. We are currently undertaking a rigorous process of negotiating with our creditors in a debt restructuring process. We call on members of the opposition that this is a clarion call to rally behind this government and ensure that that debt burden is lifted, so that once again we may have that required fiscal space to attend to the many infrastructure challenges that this country is facing. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Leader of Opposition.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I note the passion with which you are responding to these difficult questions. Now, Honorable Minister, you informed the House that procurement of consultants to do the designs, the tender process closed in December 2022, and that these consultants are yet to be procured. Now, if you look at the order of events, let's say sometime this year the consultant is procured, they may take a year plus to come up with the designs. So is it safe for us to conclude that we may not have a bituminous standard road between Mporokoso and Insama in the next 3 years? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to say that, look, since the commencement of the evaluation back in February of this year, the second stage of the evaluation is currently ongoing, and it is envisaged that the design consultation will be engaged before the end of the third quarter of this year, 2023. So I suggest that perhaps we cross that bridge when we get there. I submit.
There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Lunte, what is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my point of order is on the Honorable Minister on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, these questions that we ask ministers are provided for in the standing orders. The Honorable Minister is obliged to answer questions from members so that the people that honorable members represent can be able to get assurance from the executive in respect of the subject at hand. Madam Speaker, the Honorable MP for Chiengi asks the Honorable Minister a very clear question. There is a pronouncement that this government will not start new projects. But yet, the minister is giving assurance on the floor of the House that this particular project will be done. So let the minister clarify. How is it going to be possible that this particular project will be done when in fact government is saying no new projects? What does the minister do in full view of this House and the general public to start lecture the House on the debt mountain? Madam Speaker, what is the relevance of the debt mountain to finding out the contradictory policy statements from government? And I write on Standing Order number 65. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Lunte. I think what I'm going to do, since the minister is still on the floor, if he had omitted the question, he's going to command it as he's responding to the next question. Honorable Minister, there was a question by the Honorable Member for Chiengi, where she indicated that the government is not going to initiate new projects. But during your responses, you indicated that you gave an assurance that you are going to do the works. So the members would want to know where you are standing. Are you initiating new projects, or are you going to finish off the existing projects? So I'm going to allow the Honorable Member for Kafue to ask a question. Then the Minister of Infrastructure will combine the responses. The Honorable Member for Kafue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, that's a good decision you have made because my question could be along the same lines. I was going to ask which vote the minister will use to work on this Kasama and Sumbu Road so that we can also explore that window, maybe for places like Shantumbu in Kafue, which are equally bad. But otherwise, I agree by way of, comment that this road, Madam Speaker, we were privileged as a committee to use it in the recent parliamentary tours. And indeed, it's in a very terrible state, and yet it's leading to Kasaba Bay and all these places that we want to develop for tourism purposes. I thought I should say that. Thank you.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the honorable members. Madam Speaker, I responded to the honorable member for Chiengi, perhaps not so much in a direct way. She gave a position as to government having committed, promised, to use our own words, that the road in our area was going to be worked on. Madam Speaker, if that has not happened, that promise still stands. And this is why I then diverted to generalize as to what is obtaining in this country the inability of government to marshal the necessary resources. I made reference to the debt mountain. As far as the honorable member for Lunte is concerned, much as I appreciate that questions are provided for in standing orders, so too are answered provided for us by our technocrats. We are giving position from government, and no amount of persuasion. We are giving the facts as they stand, and that is what we are here for. So no amount of politicking to draw us into, rumors and innuendos would dissuade us from giving the right position, which is attributable to the administration that is gone before us. Madam Speaker, as far as the Honourable Member for Kafue is concerned, may I advise the Honourable Member that perhaps you could actually use another channel to throw in a question for a more detailed response to your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Chiengi, what is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this privilege. Madam Speaker, the minister on the floor has not yet answered. The question was, has the government changed its position? No new projects, but we hear of other new projects, even adverts have been done. And I gave an example. Chienge, Kashkishi, Lunchinda, the most political road in this country, has not been done because there's no new projects, there's no money. Now, the same pronouncement, then there's a new. Again, that was my question. The government says no new projects. Now we are hearing new projects. Can the minister please answer just that simple question, Madam Speaker? He has not answered my question. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. From the response that the Honorable Member gave out, he mentioned that he had responded somehow your question. We don't know whether, after giving him a second chance, he answered that question again in full, because he agreed to say that he touched on that question which you raised, and the question that I had actually repeated on your behalf to him. So are you satisfied, or the minister didn't answer? Because the minister said he answered. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Madam Speaker, he didn't answer. The question was, has the government changed the policy? No new projects, but we hear of the new project. That was my question, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, in simple terms, or maybe for all the members to get the response over that, would you please repeat the response? Thank you.
In responding to that very direct question, Madam Speaker, no, government has not changed its position. I thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Lundazi to ask question number 277, the Minister of Agriculture.
Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member, Honorable Nyirenda, asked the Ministry of Agriculture whether the government has any... Sorry?
Order. There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Pambashe, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is Parliament, where we must be factual with the information we churn out, and more so if the information is coming from the executive. Madam Speaker, my point of order is on the acting Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and the Urban Development. I think RDA, if they are here, they are listening. The road project, he said that it has been advertised, was contracted to China State. And when UPND government took over power, cancelled that project with the understanding that we will not be able to take any more projects. Now the project that was contracted, and the contractor was on site, and the government came and cancelled. Today, the minister can come and mislead the entire country and the Zambian citizen that they are going to advertise for another study, whose study was undertaken before the road was advertised. then was the minister, truly, Madam Speaker, in order to forcefully give false information to this August House when the substantive order came here and he did the announcement that we have cancelled that road project because we are no longer taking any more projects. Today he says, no, we are advertising for start. Was the minister in order, Madam Speaker? I seek your serious ruling.
Thank you. I'm going to reserve my ruling so that I look into that issue comprehensively and come back at a later stage to give a ruling over the same. May the Honorable Minister of, who was on the floor? Agriculture, continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Nyirenda asked the Minister of Agriculture whether the government has any plans to construct maize and soybeans storage shelters in Mwase Chiefdom in Lundazi parliamentary constituency. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and C, if there are no plans, she asks why. The response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. Government, through the Food Reserve Agency, has developed a storage investment plan to guide investment in storage facilities. The goal of the plan is to increase the storage capacity, from the current 956,950 metric tons to at least 2 million metric tons of secure storage space. Through this plan, Mwase Chiefdom in Lundazi will be considered. B, implementation of the storage investment plan is an ongoing process guided by availability of resources. Therefore, C, as indicated above, government has the plans in place. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Honorable Minister. Thank you very much. Mwase in Lundazi and the storage of soya beans. We know soya beans is critical to this country. Not only does it feed human beings, it feeds livestock, soy milk, tofu, soy sauce, sausages, most of it we get gongad, there's soya in there, and huge protein content. The storage in Lundazi, Honorable Minister, any consideration, instead of just setting up the storage there where it's produced in Lundazi, are you considering producing it where the market is in Lusaka, even for export? So much land in Lusaka, especially in Kafue there. You have Lukolongo area there, in Kapongo, near Sondera there. Any chances of putting up that area for storage for soybeans so that it's easily exportable, even from other provinces? Thank you, Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Member for Matero, this is a constituency-based question talking about storage sheds in Lundazi. So please, if you've got similar questions or questions which you feel are very important, which might be related to this issue of storage sheds for Lusaka, I think you can come up with a separate question for that. As at now, we are looking at Lundazi, where there is a problem. I think the Honorable Member is geared to hear what will be done for Lundazi. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Minister, we are grateful for that general answer that you have given to say FRIA is in the process of increasing space, and definitely you have to look at coming up with a shed. Honorable Minister, the distance from Lundazi Boma to Mwase up to Gumbiro is over 60 kilometers. The maize which you are selling during this time, from the Boma, the people from Gumbirwe, the people from Nyangwe, in those areas, in Mwase areas, are even unable to purchase the cheap maize which you are selling from the Boma. How soon do you think you can be able to come up with a shed in Mwase area so that our people can also be able to participate in the good policies of cheap maize which is being sold by FRA?
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Hearing the seriousness of the position which the Honourable Member is giving, has indicated that this is driven by the very bit of resources. But from what you are saying, Madam Speaker, we can actually look at the possibility of looking for a privately developed storage facility which the agency can rent for that particular purpose. Because 60 kilometers is quite some distance, so it's something which we should look at and definitely resolve. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, Minister, it's good that you've got plans to come up with new sheds in Lundazi. I cannot lecture you on Eastern Province because you know that Lundazi and the surrounding district, which has come out of Lundazi, are the major producers of maize in Eastern Province. Yes, I agree, might be seconded by Petauke or so. And the sheds issue in Eastern Province is something you know, Minister. Minister, as you are planning to construct new sheds, and there is also a government position that you're not going to start new projects, and there is a project like in Nyimba where you are very much aware that 2 sheds were paid for and they haven't been constructed, and you've grabbed us 1 shed given to Petauke, meaning Nyimba has got no storage facilities, just as Lundazi has got no storage facilities. Now the question is, when are you going to secure, when are you going to buy, to procure the storage facilities in Lundazi? Because this is a matter of emergency. It's not something you're going to do tomorrow or the other day, because it's very important. You agree with me that the maize now, which is coming from Eastern provinces, 90%, half of it is coming from Lundazi, and a good number of it is going to wastage. So my question is, when do you think we can procure this? Because we have failed to complete the ones we started earlier on, as early as 2019, 2018, and the money was paid for. So my question to you is very simple, Minister. When do you start this project? Because we are not going to have this answer of, we'll start tomorrow, when you and I, we know that it's a matter of emergency in Lundazi. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think let me start by correcting an impression which can circulate and create anxieties. Madam Speaker, the Food Reserve Agency has been looking after maize exceptionally well. There is less than 1% spoilage of the maize that they buy. So if there are areas where maize is spoiling, I would be very happy as the person responsible for agriculture to know, because I could not be everywhere. But so far, the record we have is that the agency is looking after the maize very, very well. The maize that is mostly in Eastern Province is actually maize from 2021 season, and it's still exceptionally good maize. Having said that, you heard me. The government of the Republic of Zambia does not want to do everything on its own. This government is private sector driven. If there are people who have storage facilities, we can use those storage facilities. And that's the answer I gave to the Honorable Member, to say, if there is that problem, let us go for privately owned storage facilities which are available and we can hire them, even if it's a small one, especially for the distribution of maize in times of hunger. We can definitely hire, rent a structure for use. Coming to the sheds that we were talking about which are incomplete, I think you are aware that there is a dispute on those facilities between government and whoever was contracted to build. There were issues which didn't go well in the previous government, and is continuing in court, is being looked after. So I would not like to comment on that because I am not competent to comment on that. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I must mention that Mwase Lundazi and Mwase Mbangwe in Lumeza are like Siamese twins because these two chiefdoms share similar names. Honorable Minister, I'm glad that you've said you are not omnipresent, which I appreciate. Now, Honorable Minister, don't you think that it is time FRA decided to go through a PPP arrangement when it comes to building of sheds? Why I ask this question, it's because this is a generating income venture, and in your submissions for the people of Lundazi and any other areas that could be interested, you would have done a better service because then you'll bring in entrepreneurial minds to be interested. Leaving a statement open that we can rent, no matter how small it is, I think we shall not attain the desired results. Why don't you think that this is where you genuinely need a PPP project, unlike where we are seeing the Ndola Dual Carriageway on this particular one that has financial returns immediately? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think a PPP for this is something which we never looked at. It is a good suggestion. We will try to see how it can be done. You are aware that the government, Food Reserve Agency, is responsible for managing government redeemable assets. And if you talk of PPP, it is a new area which we need to explore. However, let me encourage members in the House that storage shed business is very, very profitable business. I would encourage you to seriously consider investing in these facilities. They are easy to construct, could be a bit expensive, but the return on the investment is very high. So it's something which, as private individuals, we can seriously look at across the country. Madam Speaker, I thank you. We will explore the PPP suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the response. However, the people of Lundazi would like to know how many storage shelters will be constructed in Mwase Chiefdom. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me reduce the anxieties to the Honorable Member who asked the question. Of most of the districts in Eastern Province, Lundazi has very good storage capacity. But as indicated, it is also a very high producing area. The particular constituency or particular area which the Honorable Member, Madam Yurenda, asked for, as I indicated, it will be considered given the exposure that it has received. But for me here to stand and say we are going to construct next year, I would be quoted by government assurance and I will fail to, validate that if we don't do it because the resources are simply not there. But the good news is we are receiving cooperating partners who would like to invest in this sector. So that's why we will consider Mwase where you are so that we see if we can give you some facility given the distance you are to the main storage centers. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister. Lundazi, just like their counterparts in Chama, contribute hugely to the food basket in this country. Honorable Minister, looking at the urgency of this matter, because every year farmers will be increasing their hectarage, are you not considering bringing a supplementary budget so that you can construct these storage facilities in Mwase? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I can discuss that with the Honorable Minister of Finance. I am happy to let you know that Cabinet has indicated that once we are through with the issue of the debt problem and we have got a little bit of resource coming, agriculture is going to be considered priority. And therefore, the suggestions you are giving will be looked into. That is what I would say, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
On a point of order, there is an indication of a point of order. The Honorable Member from Fue, what is your point of order?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My point of order is on the Minister. I feel that the Minister did not attend to my question. I think he might have misunderstood my question. My question was that how many is FRA planning to construct? How many storage sheds is FRA planning to construct? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Though it's not a point of order, I'll ask the Minister maybe to go back to that question as he responds from the Honorable Member for Chiruvi. The Honorable Member for Chiruvi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question to the Minister is that observing the trends of 2021-2022 season and 2022-2023 season, you have been reducing the depots. To me, it beats logic that you are talking about increasing from 9,000 to 2 million, which also affects Rundazi in this case, because that's countrywide. So how are you going to compromise the reducing of the depots versus the storage?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, please don't forget that question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll start with the Honorable Member for Chiluvi. Thank you.
Sorry, order, Honorable Minister. As the time is 19:10 hours, I interrupt the proceedings and business stands adjourned. Day for resumption of business.
Tomorrow, Madam Speaker.
Business to resume tomorrow. The acting leader of government business adjournment.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do now adjourn.
As no notice of an item for debate on the motion of adjournment of the House has been received, I put the question. The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House is now adjourned.
At 14:30. At the time business was interrupted, the House was considering question 277, which was asked by Ms. Nyirenda Lundazi, Member of Parliament. And this question was directed to the Minister of Agriculture. She wanted to find out whether the government has any plans to construct maize and soya bean storage shelters in Mwase Chiefdom and Lundazi Parliamentary Constituency, and at the time business was interrupted. The area member of Parliament for Chilubi, and this is Mr. Mulenga Fube, has just posed the question, and the Honourable Minister was about to respond. Taza, let's quickly look at what the House has considered on the floor of the House today.
First, the House did consider an announcement which was rendered by the Madam Speaker, and in her announcement she did acquaint the House with the presence in the Speaker's gallery of members of Portfolio Committee on Women Affairs, Community and Small to Medium Enterprises Development and staff from the Parliament of Zimbabwe.
And these are Honorable Chido Madiwa, MP, Chairperson and Leader of the Delegation, Honorable Brian Dube, MP Member, Honorable Christopher Chingoshu, MP Member.
Honorable Lindiwe Maposha, MP Member, Honorable Elizabeth Shongeza, MP Member, Mr. Marin Magova, Senior Researcher, Mr. Lavmo Majoni, Committee Clerk.
And on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, Madam Speaker did receive the distinguished guests and warmly welcome them to the National Assembly of Zambia. So that's the only announcement that Madam Speaker made when business resumed at 14:30. Let's quickly look at what else was considered on the floor of the House. We did see the Minister of Agriculture rendering a ministerial statement, and this ministerial statement was on the crop focus results for 2022-2023 agricultural season and the 2023-2024 crop marketing arrangements. Let's quickly look at the details of the ministerial statement.
Well, President, we did see the Minister paying tribute to the Zambian farmers who have risen above the challenges and have ensured that the nation's food basket is secured. The Minister further paid tribute to the other value chain actors, seed companies, suppliers of inputs and agricultural equipment, grain traders, millers and financial institutions for their continued roles in facilitating the production of food in this country.
The Honourable Minister was delighted to announce to the House that the 2022-2023 crop focusing survey results have revealed that the expected production for most crops is expected to increase with only a few recording a decrease in production when compared to the 2021-2022 figures generated through the post-harvest survey.
The Minister said the number of small and medium-scale farming households has increased to 2,534,311 from 1,756,340,000 recorded in the 2021-2022 agricultural season.
The Minister further said that the 2022-2023 season was also characterized by the outbreak of 4 armyworms and stalk borers, which were reported to have damaged about 8,021 hectares of cropped land. In some parts of Zambia, the cassava brown stalk disease was reported to have affected many fields in total. The damage caused by the flash floods, dry spells and pests stands at 319,612.
However, the Minister further went on to say he was pleased to report that as at 1st May 2023, the total carryover stocks held by farmers, millers, grain traders and the Food Reserve Agency was 450,891,000 metric tons, with the expected production of 3,261,686 metric tons of maize, and the total stocks of maize available in this marketing season is 3,000,000